Hello. Um, I'm going to be reading from This Changes Everything by Naomi Klein, and it deals with climate change, capitalism versus climate change. And there's a chapter where she talks about her pregnancy, and I want to read this because these big issues like climate change and these big concepts, they do affect our daily life, and I thought she captures it pretty well in this paragraph. The right to regenerate. At the beginning of this book, and this is the last chapter. At the beginning of this book, I wrote about how becoming a mother in an age of extinction brought the climate crisis into my heart in a new way. I had felt the crisis before, of course, as all of us do on some level. But for the most part, my climate fears expressed themselves as low level melancholy, punctuated by moments of panic rather than full blown grief. At some point about 7 years ago, I realized that I had become so convinced that we were headed toward a grim ecological collapse that I was losing my capacity to enjoy my time in nature. The more beautiful and striking the experience, the more I found myself grieving its inevitable loss, like someone unable to fall fully in love because she can't stop imagining the inevitable heartbreak. Looking out at an ocean bay on British Columbia's Sunshine Coast, a place teeming with life, I would suddenly picture it barren, the eagles, herons, seals, and otters all gone. I got markedly worse after I covered the BP spill in the Gulf of Mexico for 2 years after. I couldn't look at any body of water without imagining it covered in oil. Sunsets were particularly difficult. The pink glow of the waves looked too much like petroleum sheen. And once, while grilling a beautiful piece of fresh sockeye salmon, I caught myself imagining how, as a wizened old woman, I would describe this extraordinary fish, its electric color, its jewel texture, to a child living in a world where these wild creatures had disappeared. I call my morbid habit pre-loss, a variation on the pre-crimes committed in the movie Minority Report. And I know I'm not the only one afflicted. A few years ago, The Nation magazine, where I am a columnist, hosted a 1 week cruise to Alaska. The full page ad that ran in the magazine carried a tagline: "Come see the glaciers before they melt." I called my editor in a fury. How could we joke about melting glaciers while promoting a carbon spewing holiday? Are we saying that global warming is funny? That we have no role to play in trying to stop it? The ad was pulled, but I realized then that, poor taste aside, this is how a great many of us are consuming wilderness these days, as a kind of nihilistic final farewell. Gobble it all up before it's gone. This ecological despair was a big part of why I resisted having kids until my late 30s. For years, I joked about giving birth to a Mad Maxian climate warrior battling alongside her friends for food and fuel. And I was also fully aware that if we were to avoid the future, we would all have to cut down on the number of super consumers we were producing. It was that time, or around the time that I began work on this book, that my attitude started to shift. Some of it, no doubt, was standard issue denial. What does one more kid matter? But part of it was also that immersing myself in the international climate justice movement had helped me imagine various futures that were decidedly less bleak than the post apocalyptic cli fi pastiche that had become my unconscious default. Maybe, just maybe, there was a future where replacing our own presence on Earth could once again be part of a cycle of creation, not destruction. And I was lucky. Pregnant the first month we started trying, but then, just as fast, my luck ran out. A miscarriage, an ovarian tumor, a cancer scar, surgery. Month after month of disappearing single pink lines on home pregnancy tests, another miscarriage. So we're going to continue to read this chapter. Very powerful, very strong, very personal. And I like when authors have the courage, or people, period, have the courage to express their realities, because I think too often um, we've created some kind of society where we're ashamed to tell what we're actually struggling with. And so we let those struggles destroy us. And so I like that. And I also like that, we see Naomi Klein and these people on a lot of things, that TV and interviews, and to realize that they struggle with daily things too. Also, she really brings climate change into our homes, into our personal lives. Because we have some weird idea that there's a disconnect, that I have my personal life and then these big issues are out there. But those issues affect everything in your life. So we're going to continue to read it, go through it, and until next time, please take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.